Ciao, I'm Antonio and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make salami cacciatori. Okay, so the first step to make our salami cacciatori is to prepare the casing. Ideally, you want to prepare this either the night before or early in the morning before you actually prepare your casing. So all you need is a container where you're going to empty your casing with the water. For the cacciatori salami, I use a 45 millimeters plus pork casing. So it's all natural casing from pork with a 45 millimeters diameter here. And then I put a coffee cup of white vinegar and I cut the lemon in half and I'll squeeze that in and I leave the skin inside. So that helps to eliminate any odor from the casing, any smell from the casing. Then you give it a good mix and you leave this on the side while you're preparing your sausage. So I'm going to leave this on the side and we'll see you for the next step to prepare the sausage. Okay, to make cacciatori, I'm going to use a pork leg, a very big chunk of pork leg. What we're going to do, we're going to remove all the skin now, trying to leaving the majority of the fat in, because cacciatori salami, it's made by the 70% of lean meat, and normally you want about the 20-30% of fat. So while I'm talking, I'm actually going to start and removing the skin. It's a good practice to leave the meat outside the fridge about 30 minutes at least before you start cutting, because it makes soft, so it's easier for you to cut and manage when you're actually going cleaning. Sorry, I will try to come like towards the camera so you can see what I'm doing. And we try to remove the skin without taking too much of the fat out. There's some people that for cacciatori salami, they use pork belly instead of the fat coming from the leg itself. I tried and I personally prefer to use the fat coming from the leg itself. I like it, it works for me. And as I say, I normally use all the salami that I make, I use them for my family. So I don't buy an extra piece of meat to mix them, and the results, it's always extraordinary. So if you haven't tried, I will recommend you to try it and to use just the fat from the pork leg instead of mixing that up with the pork belly. There you go. So that's the skin, removed it. I left all the fat here, which is really good fat. It's not it's all big chunks of looking good. I'm gonna just go and weigh it now so I can give you the exact grams and how much we need for the mix and for the seasoning. I'll see you soon. So I've weighed the meat without the skin, and the final weight is 3 kilos 126. We still need to cut it into pieces, and I'm going to remove some veins and some other soft fat inside. So I will re-weight it again once I finished. In the meantime, I'm start cutting the meat, and I'll give you some percentage of seasoning that we need. So for the salt, we will need 30 grams of salt per kilo. For fennel seeds, I will be using fennel seeds for my cacciatori salami. It's 2 grams of fennel seeds per kilo. Still my crushed pepper. I'm going to be using 3 grams of pepper per kilo of meat. And then I'm going to be using 6 grams of brown sugar per kilo. And then just 10 grams of red wine, just to give more taste and more flavor inside the meat. That's for the recipe that I do use. Chili, if you like it spicy, and it would be about 6 grams per kilo of meat. So there is a vein here, which I'm going to remove it, and that's some soft fat. That means I won't be able to mince properly. I will re-weight the meat after I finish with this operation, just to give you the exact amount of seasoning that I will be using in my case. But overall, the percentages are the one that I just gave it to you. So make sure for the salt, you always use sea salt for when you're seasoning, when you're curing the meat. It's natural. I always use that one. It works fine for me. We cut it in the way that it fits into your mince grinder. So yeah, I just cut small cubes. And as I cut it, I just check if there is anything that needs to be removed. Make sure you always check for bones and stuff. I've never said this in none of my video, but always make sure you buy premium meat when you do any of the curing salami or anything that you're curing, just because you can't really use vacuumed meat or frozen meat. Otherwise, the results you're just gonna end up throwing everything away. Yeah. So this is good. Anything like similar to this, it is soft connective tissue, just remove them. And if you find any veins inside, as usual, any blood inside your curing process, it ruin everything. And at the end, you just need to throw everything. So take your time when you do this process and make sure your meat, it's all cleaned, it's all ready. Now, I use homemade equipment to mince my meat. So that's why I'm cutting that very, very small. But if you have like professional equipment, like you have a butcher or you have like a big mincer, that will work fine. I cut mine really small. Yeah, if you find like any nerve, like this one, just remove it. And see all of these pieces here with a lot of fat, like hard fat. They're really good for your salami. We will see after, like in the final results when we have the mix. Here we go. And now I'm just gonna build my mincer, and I'll see you in a second for the mincing part. Perfect. So we have all our meat has been cleaned and cut and ready to be minced. What we're gonna do next, I'm gonna put all the seasoning in the meat before we mince it. Now you're gonna ask me why you put the mince before you mince it. Well, the reason is because if I mix it now, when we're gonna mince the meat in the mixer, it's gonna continue and mixing, which it will facilitate our job to manually mix the meat after. Now this is a small quantity. It's only what we said before, about 3 kilos of meat. So it would be okay also to mince the meat manually or after. But if you do large quantity, like 10 kilos, 20 kilos, sometimes 40 kilos, it's more convenient to do this way. So you have to do less manual job after. So what I did now, I put the salt, the pepper, the brown sugar, the fennel seeds. I'm gonna add the wine after we mince the meat. I'm gonna mix it like this very gently. And like I can already tell, like the salt and the pepper and the spices are basically everywhere. And it's gonna make your life way, way, way easier after, especially if you're working by yourself. So this is done. I'm just gonna put it here in the tray just for convenience. In the meantime, what I've done, I've prepared the grams of red wine. So as I said, just some cooking wine, nothing too fancy. And I added a teaspoon of garlic in there. And the garlic, it's normally used as antibacterial. So because I'm not adding any preservative or any or salt or anything like that, having the garlic in there will help to preserve and to basically kill all the bacteria. So I have my mix here. I'm gonna get a bowl. If you don't have a mixer, you can ask your butcher to, so I'm gonna put this up, mince the meat for you. Of course, in that case, you will have to mix all the seasoning after. Make sure you ask the butcher to mince the meat with a number 8 plate, so 8 millimeters plate, and to pass the meat only once through the grinder. Now, it's a homemade product. You really wanna taste the meat. You don't want to have basically too fine meat. You wanna actually feel the meat when you're eating your sausage. That's a good thing about doing the homemade sausage, because you can decide what to put in there, how you're gonna heat it and stuff like that. I'm just gonna continue with the mincing. until I finish all the meat. Okay, perfect. So we finished to mix our meat with all the seasoning and stuff. As you can see, the amount of fat inside the meat is actually, in my opinion, it's perfect like this. It's appropriate to the amount of lean meat in there. What I'm going to do next, so I'm just going to add, as I've anticipated before, just a mix of red wine and garlic. Here you go. And I'm just going to finish mixing by hand. And as I said before, because we pre-seasoned the meat before to mix it, this operation is going to be quite easy. We're just going to continue to mix until you can't feel anything else under the finger, which already I can't, so that's how quick it is if you mix the meat before. Here you go. And the meat is ready. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to show you on the camera what it looks like. Here we go. And that's our mix, and it's already ready to be stuffed. Okay, welcome back. So we finished our minced meat, and now it's the time to taste. My wife is just joining me during this step. So we have our casing with in a solution with vinegar and lemon. So we're just gonna take one of the ends, and we're just gonna put it into our sausage filler. And while I'm putting this in, I'm just gonna explain you what other equipment do we need for this part here. So we need a toothpick, because we want all the air to be removed from the sausage as we stuff it up. So we will show you soon when we start filling that up. A rope, like a food rope, to then proceed to do all the knots and everything that we need. We're ready with our casing. We will start punching this part here, and we can start filling up the sausage. You need to make sure also when you start filling up the sausage to have the sausage basically very compressed inside the casing. So the idea is that we have to try and reduce the amount of air inside as much as we can. That's why we do the knots, to eliminate we just poke it and we break it with a toothpick just to reduce the amount of air inside. You can use different cases to do it. You can use smaller cases. I prefer this one because it will lose quite considerable amount of weight during the curing process. So I will recommend you the 45 millimeters plus. So once we reach the desired amount of case, now my wife will show you how to do the knot. So there was already a small knot at the beginning when we started our sausage. She does the knot on the other side, and then she put them together from where we are going to hang our salami. So with the rope, we're just gonna cut a little bit, and then we're just gonna put it there in the middle. So it's that from one of the sausage, you have two separate sausages. And then you do a very simple knot. There you go. We do 3 just in case, and then we'll just close it at the top. We'll just create a sort of hook at the top where we can put the hook and hang it in a chamber. Just up here. There you go. That's where we're gonna put the hook after and put it in the chamber. And then just to finish that off, we're just gonna continue to create some holes in the meat, so all the air goes out, and that's also from where all the liquid, and it will start dripping all the excess of liquid sausage while it's in the chamber. Don't worry about the holes. Don't be afraid of making them, because with the case hardening, you will start closing because everything will shrink. So I've done another knot here, so we can continue. We're just showing you that we can make one slightly smaller. So it's up to you what kind of space you do have inside the chamber and how big you want to make them. The principle is always the same. You do a knot at the end of the casing, and then you put them together with the knot that we did at the beginning, and then we get a rope. Yep, cut it in the middle. There you go. And then we just do a hook at the top. There you go. So we have 2 different sizes essentially. In terms of curing time, it's going to be exactly the same, because all it matters is how thick they are, not how long they are. I will explain you after what the curing time is for this kind of salami, and then we're just going to fast video and finish this off. So we finished with the casing. We ended up having 15 beautiful salami cacciatori. The smell is just amazing. What we're gonna do now, I'm just gonna hook them from the little knot that we did before, and I'm gonna leave them for 1-2 days outside the fridge, like home temperature and humidity, to allow really the salt and all the spices to basically, you will start seeing them dripping like liquid, and that's normal. And then I'm gonna move them in the basement. In my case, I have like no-made curing chamber, but anywhere that it's a temperature between 12 to 16 degrees, make sure it doesn't exceed 16 degrees, and humidity. How long do they need? About 3-4 weeks. Every week you're gonna go and just touch them and feel them and see if you like them. In my case, I like them a bit softer than normal. So normally after 3 weeks/4 weeks, they're ready and then delicious. Now I have a little gift for you. I have my previous made salami cacciatori, which just did 3.5 weeks in the fridge. They're still like soft as I like them. And we're just gonna cut one. The white part outside, it's mold. You normally want, around cacciatori, you want the white mold to grow. It prevents bad bacteria to grow, and it also gives a good taste to the salami. So that's the casing, which I'm removing now. It's easy to peel. And now I'm just gonna wash the knife, because you don't want a knife that has touched the mold to go in the middle of your salami. And now I'm just gonna cut them in the middle. And here we go. That's what the salami looks like. It smells absolutely amazing. And now we're just gonna cut a few slices, the moment of the truth. Mamma mia, they're actually really, really good. Okay, so yeah, 4 weeks in the fridge. Buon appetito. They're just amazing. Thank you.